If I was going to prom today, this is the exact makeup look I'd be doing. So let me show you how I got it. First things first, make sure that you have a good skincare base going on. I just have the Rhode Barrier Butter, and then I like to spritz with like a little bit of a hydrating mist. This is the Polite Society Moisturizing Glaze Mist. You're gonna want your makeup to last all night. So I'm using the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. This is the niacinamide version, and just going and rubbing that all in till it gets tacky. For an event like prom, you're going to want something that is high coverage because in pictures, it will look so much better. Trust me, it's gonna feel like a lot of makeup, but it's gonna photograph so well. I'm using the House Labs foundation on a little damp beauty blender, and my shade is 200. When you're doing foundation, when you want high coverage, I like to focus it in the center of my face. Make sure that I'm covering up any blemishes that I have, and then you'll kind of diffuse it as you work towards the outside of your face. Also, make sure that whatever foundation you're using, it matches your neck color and your spray tan color because you likely have a spray tan. So that's why I'm using this color. I know it doesn't look like it matches, but it will match my neck and my body. I'm gonna go in with another layer of that just for a ton of extra coverage. My favorite thing was always to just sit and mess around with all of my looks. I did all of my own makeup for prom, and I always loved just like sitting and messing around with whatever I was going to do. So practice a lot and don't be afraid to layer up and use a lot of makeup. After 2 coats, this is what my coverage is looking like. I do have a few little stubborn blemishes I want to cover up, so I'm using the Fenty Beauty We're Even concealer. If you like a more hydrating concealer, I love this one. If you are a little more oily, like I was in high school, I would use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. The key to getting a lot of coverage is to spot conceal and then let it dry down for a little bit before you blend it out. I've let that dry down a little bit, and I'm just gonna go back in with my beauty blender and then blend that all out. Also too, don't forget to blend onto your ears, and again, blend it down your neck to make sure everything matches. The key to having really good full glam makeup that stands out in pictures is layers and layers of product. So I'm gonna go in with my cream contour. This is the LYS stick in Harmony. I'm gonna start on my cheekbones and then on my forehead. For this, I do prefer a little angled brush, and I'm just going to tap that out and blend it out in an upward motion. Don't forget to blend that contour into your hairline as far as you can go. You don't want a big streak line from your forehead to your hair. Since my neck is still a little bit more tan than my face, I'm gonna do my chin and then blend that down, sharpening up the jawline a little bit and then making sure that that color blends into my neck a little bit more. This is optional, but I like to drag it down the sides of my nose and across the tip. And then I also like to do a little bit of a foundation for my eyeshadow by dragging it across my lids and up. If you have oilier skin, I would probably not recommend to do this on your eyelids because it might just add a little bit too much and it might melt off over the night. I definitely lean more dry, so this doesn't bother me, but I just take this and then drag it out and create a really, really nice sharp line. Moving on to concealer next, I'm using my Tarte Shape Tape. This is in the shade 16N, and I like to do a little bit of a patch right here, and then I use it as a way to clean up all of that contour and drag it out. I'm gonna let this dry down for extra coverage and extra brightness, and then I'll blend it out. I've let that dry down for a few minutes, so now I'm just going to blend it out with my beauty blender. I use this as a way to sharpen up like my nose contour, sharpen up the bronzer that I did or that cream contour that I did on the eyelid, and make sure everything is looking super bright and snatched up. You can see it really brings all of my facial features up. This is a good time too to wipe a little bit on your eyelid right here, just to kind of create a brighter base for the eyeshadow we'll do later. Now I'm gonna do some cream blush. I would choose whatever shade that you prefer, whatever shade you feel like works with your skin tone the best. I'm gonna do a mixture of these two, which are like hot pinks. I'm starting with the Bosma Cream Blush in Bubblegum Pink, and I'm taking this on a little flat stipple brush. And I'm going to stipple in an upward motion and use this also to blend out that really harsh line from the concealer. If you like just like a subtle baby pink look, you can leave it there, but I'm going to layer on top of it with this really hot pink. This is in the shade Fuchsia, and I'm just going to intensify that color on the very tops of my cheekbones for a little extra pop. If you're feeling like the blush is coming a little bit too high up, you can always go back with your beauty blender and blend back in to that concealer so it's a little more blended out. We're officially done with all of our cream products, so now I'm going to set everything down. I'm gonna start with the Huda Beauty Loose Powder. I like Pound Cake, it's just like the classic one. and I'm gonna go underneath my eyes, and then you're gonna want to powder in the areas that you get the most oily. So for me, that's like my T-zone where I want the most powder and the most mattifying. And I know we all love the glowy makeup, but when you want your makeup to stick around and stay all night, you kind of do have to lean towards a more matte look. Moving on to bronzer now. This is the Polite Society Cabana Club bronzer. I've been using this, but whatever you like. And then I'm just gonna tap into that with a big fluffy brush and then start to stamp over where we put that cream contour earlier. For me, the key to these makeup looks when you're using so many layers is to just do light layers and then keep adding, keep tapping everything on until it's about where you want it to be. I'm also taking that on my jawline and my chin, again, dragging that down as well. And then I just take it on that same brush and I pinch it a little bit to run it down the sides of my nose. Moving on to blush, I'm going to tap into this One Size cheek clapper. This is in the shade Attention Seeker, and I'm just using that little middle one, but whatever blush is going to match the cream that you put underneath of it, but in a powder form. And I'm going to just, again, tap that on those highest points of my cheek. If you like a little bit of shimmer and sparkle like I do, I love using the Fenty Beauty What a Brat. It's technically a highlighter, but I use it as like a little blush topper just for a little extra sparkle, because prom is fun. Like, you're supposed to have fun, have some sparkles on your face, go over the top, it doesn't matter. Now to finish everything off with actual highlighter, I'm using Benefit Cookie. This is just like a champagne-y kind of color and barely going over the tops of my cheekbones. Also running that down my nose. Cupid's bow, a little on the chin. You can do like the temples of your forehead as well. I'm using my same Huda Beauty powder and I'm going to bake underneath my eyes like this. Drag it down the sides of your nose and then also outwards like that. Only thing I would be wary of with baking is that sometimes if you do not brush it off enough, you can have a lot of flashback. So just make sure that you're testing this out with like a flash camera before you go take all your prom pictures and then you look like Flashback Mary. I'm also using it to sharpen up my little cheekbones right here. While I let the bake sit, I'm going to start doing my eyebrows. I love the Maybelline Super Lock. This is just like a little clear brow gel, and I actually do gel first and then I fill them in after. I always use the little NYX Lift and Snatch. This is like a brow pen. And after that brow gel sets, I'll just go in and do little hair-like strokes to fill it in. Again, do whatever you like to do with your brows. It doesn't really matter. Now that brows are done, I'm gonna move on to eyeshadow. I'm using the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette. If you're gonna buy anything for prom, let it be this. This is literally the only nude palette you will ever need. I'm dipping into this like light brown, this little darker brown, just on a fluffy brush. And I'm going to just start swiping that on the outer corner like this, and then also across my crease. You can leave it like that, but if you want to deepen it up for a little bit of a smokier look, I'm going to tap into this darker brown just on the same brush to keep it really simple. But I'm just gonna focus it really on that outer V, that outer corner. Little tip is if you feel like you've gotten a little too dark, you can tap in to your lighter colors that you were using before and use that to kind of go over and diffuse everything. Important to remember that you're gonna wanna like drag out almost in a wing shape. Otherwise, your eyes are gonna look very small and closed off. Now I'm gonna smoke out underneath my lash line, just using, again, those two lightest shades just on a tapered brush now. And again, deepening it up with this darker color on an even skinnier brush and keeping that really focused on that outer corner. I'm gonna add a little bit of shimmer onto the lid. I'm using my Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. I'm honestly just gonna do a lot of different things. I'm just gonna dip my finger into everything and then we'll see how that goes. All you have to do is just tap it on. This is the fun part too. Like if you have a silver dress or a gold dress, you can kind of match the tone of your glitter to whatever you're wearing. If this is a little too harsh right here, you'll just go back in with your same blending brush and kind of soften up any edges. Now I like a little bit of powder eyeliner, so I'm gonna use this like chocolate brown shade on an eyebrow brush and just flick out a tiny bit on my outer corner. To highlight, I'm gonna dip into this little white powder color and just drag that on my inner corner a little bit. I love a bright inner corner. And to top that off, I'm going in with Cookie by Benefit. Also drag a little bit under your brow bone too. Now is the time that we're going to wipe off the bake. I would highly recommend going in with a pressed powder to do this. I like the Charlotte Tilbury one. This is in the shade 1, and I will just take it and use it to wipe off everything. I feel like it adds a little bit of a buffer so you're not just wiping away all the makeup underneath. If you have any freckles or beauty marks that you want to go back and reinforce, you can use a little freckle pen. I like just doing that and then dotting it off on like my beauty marks. You can add back freckles into your face if you like that. I really love this product. Nearing the end, I'm going to just curl my lashes. This is the Shiseido lash curler. For mascara, it doesn't really matter. Just use whatever you're used to. I'm gonna use the Kosas Soul Gazer. Okay, I've done 2 layers of my mascara and now I'm gonna do falsies. If you're new to putting on false lashes or anything, I would definitely do clusters. Go with the length 14, then the length 12, then the length 10, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So what I like to do is put the glue on them first. I just use like a brush on eyelash glue, and you can see I have them laid out and the glue is on the top of the eyelash. I'm just gonna take it and then stick it underneath my lash line, not like on your actual waterline, but on the lashes underneath. You can see I did 1, 2, 3 underneath the lash line, and then this way you don't have to worry about sticking down a whole strip lash or it poking you in the eyeball. This is literally the easiest way, trust me. Before lips, I'm gonna top everything off with a good setting spray. This is the One Size On Till Dawn if you want something that is literally going to keep everything stuck in place all night. Now for lips, I'm gonna do like a pinky nude sort of look. So I'm using, this is Makeup Forever and Endless Cacao, and I'm going to use that to outline my lips. After that, I'm using Makeup by Mario in Smoky Pink, and I'm gonna use this to kind of blend that line and make it a little more seamless. First, I'm gonna top it off with the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Stick in Fussy for a little bit of a solid color. For extra sparkle, I'm gonna use Fenty Beauty Gloss in What a Brat. There you have it. Here is that final look. If I was going to prom, this is probably what I'd be doing. So I hope this was helpful. I wanna see your guys' looks. If you try it, tag me and let me know if you have any more questions. I'm more than happy to help. So happy prom, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.